Good morning, students of class 10. Welcome back to the online classes now. We are doing geography. So the physical features of India, and we are doing community conservation. The conservation of wildlife resources and forest and wildlife resources. Now here community conservation. Community means the local people who live near the forest or in the forest. There are many tribal people who live in the forest or near the forest or adjacent to the forest. Community conservation. Conservation strategies. Strategies means methods, steps, ways are not new in our country. Conservation methods, conservation strategies are not new in India. From olden times, people, they protected forest. They saved or conserved forest because the forest provided them livelihood. So naturally they protected or they saved or conserved forest, and it's not a new thing. So conservation strategies, methods, ways and views and ideas, whatever they follow, are not new in our country. Number two, we often ignore that in India. This we often ignore it. Ignore means we never take care or never think about it. That we think that, oh, there are forests, we need wood, we have to cut them down. But we never think about them or never pay more attention to them. We just ignore them in India. Forests are also home to some of the traditional communities. We forget them because some of the communities, they live in the forest, such as tribal people. They live in the forest and the forest provided them their livelihood. Whatever they get from the forest, with those they maintain their life. So tribal people, many communities, traditional communities live in the forest. It's a habitat for them. So they are also, the forests are also home to these tribal people. So we very often forget that. In some areas of India, local communities are struggling to conserve or save these habitats along with government officials. So in many areas of our country, the local people or tribal people are struggling very hard to protect that forest because the forests are their life. So they are struggling very hard to protect the forest because from the forest they get everything, from medicine, herbs, food, roots, they hunt, everything they used to get. So they are struggling very hard because in the modern world people require raw materials such as timber, and the government are cutting down the trees. So in some areas, forest officials, forest department and local people, they jointly take care of the forest. In other areas, local people, they look after the forest, conserve forest. They have their own set of rules and regulations to keep the forest alive, to maintain forest. So these local communities recognize that, recognize means come to know, they understand. Local people, local communities or tribal communities recognize that by conserving forest will secure their own long-term livelihood. If forests are gone, their livelihood will be finished. They will suffer. So for their coming generation, they need to protect their forest. So that's why local communities are aware of that. They knew, they recognize that because of the forest we are living and we need to conserve forest for our coming generation. So conserving forest will maintain their livelihood as well as the livelihood of the coming generations. They understood, they recognized that. That's why they protect. In Sariska, you can see there in Rajasthan, in Sariska Tiger Reserve, that is in Rajasthan, villagers have fought against mining. The villagers did not allow the government officials to start mining there They said, no, no, no mining over here. They raised a voice, they opposed, they fought against mining by citing means quoting or saying that the Wildlife Protection Act. The local people of Rajasthan who lives near the Sariska Tiger Reserve, they said that government has formed a rules and regulation and maintain tiger reserve over here. But why mining over here? So one side you have Forest Wildlife Protection Act, other side you are just destroying the forest by mining over here. No more mining over here. So in Sariska Tiger Reserve, Rajasthan, the villagers have fought against mining by quoting the Wildlife Protection Act, by taking this point, by mentioning Wildlife Protection Act, they forced the people to stop mining them. Yani government officials, government laborers, government. In many areas, villagers themselves are protecting habitat. Many areas, wherever there are forests, villagers take up the responsibility, you can say that, of protecting the forest by themselves, because we know it, from forest the local people get various items of their daily need. Taking themselves for protecting habitats and reject government involvement. In certain areas people rejected, no, government are not involved. Governments are not allowed to involve over here. If governments are involved, then naturally the governments will ultimately cut down the trees and infrastructure will be built. No, governments are not allowed. So local people oppose and object government's involvement in certain areas regarding protection and conservation of forests. So local people took the responsibility of protecting and conserving forest. That's why the forests are there in India, otherwise forest would have been gone long time back. The governments are cutting down the trees for mining, for infrastructure, for urbanization, for agricultural purpose, and for raw material. Various, there is a need. But local people object. Because of that, forests are surviving in India. So one of the main reasons we are talking about. So local people, conservation and community conservation. Because of that, forests are surviving. Otherwise, it would have been finished long time back. So that's all. Now in our next class, we will continue some more. This much for today. Stay safe. Go through online portal every day and don't miss the class. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you later on. You won't understand anything. So we'll learn part by part, little by little. So you cannot learn everything, all chapter in one day or 50% of the chapter one day, because you will miss a lot of things. So we'll learn little by little but continuously, regularly. So that's all for today. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you for watching the video.